Hi, my name is Althea Culaba. I use they them pronouns. I am a rising third year at BU, an English major and poli-sci minor, your previous National Director Proxy of D1, and I am running for the secretary position. I wanted to start off by kind of briefly going over why I'd like to be continually involved in D1 on board in this way. Transitioning into my first year at college was very difficult, I'm sure, as most of us can relate to. But the Filipino community kind of gave me a sense of belonging where I felt lost. My first foray into that was through BUFSA, but later on through D1. And it helped me kind of get out of the bubble that I had been stuck in and find people and community beyond my previously limited reach. And so being part of national team that helped me get more involved in the D1 community, but with it also brought experiences and enhanced personal qualities that have adequately prepared me for the secretary position. The first of which being organizational skills. I have held leadership positions in various organizations. Two of them I was the secretary for. In my junior and senior years of high school, I served as my class secretary, and then this past year I was secretary of BU's UELA, which is the Undergraduate English Literature Association. And so in each position, I have already kind of familiarized myself with various roles typical of secretaries. I, for example, took meeting notes, I kept attendance records, I communicated with administration, I sent, organization-wide emails and newsletters, I kept track of documentation, I regularly updated calendars, amongst other roles. And so, this familiarization and experience with this role specifically makes me qualified to kind of take up the same position on D1 eWord. And so another one of my skills that I can attest to, relevant to being a secretary, are my communication skills. And being an NDP, I was in charge of this thing called the Education Initiative. You might have seen it on Instagram. This involved writing up reports and doing research, educating the D1 community on Philippine history, culture, and practice. These occurred roughly once a month, and yes, that helped develop my written communication skills, but more specifically, it helped me practice them within the D1 context relevant to kind of the Filipino community that surrounds us. Also, I am an English major and a poli-sci minor, so most of what I do in my academic life is written work. I have published papers to journals, I have published poetry, prose, even personal essays online. I even work as a writing consultant at BU's Writing Center, so I am both highly experienced and trained to uphold a high level of written communication skills. And so kind of with all these qualifications and experiences, I also have unique things to offer to D1 too. I have a presence within the Massachusetts Filipino community already. I'm from here, and so I have a lot of connections to local Pinoy organizations, including but not limited to Pinoy Musicians of New England, Books for Pinoys, BKP, Bagong Kulturang Pilipino, IP, Eskwelahang Pilipino, Pamana, J&J. And so kind of having all of these connections, it's very valuable to event planning, as I can allow board to easily figure out sponsorships and partnerships for things that we want to do in the future. And so kind of through my connections and network, I can help D1 establish better relationships with the local Filipino community. And so my personal connections combined with the extent of my previous experiences in secretarial roles makes me uniquely qualified to serve D1 board in this way. I appreciate you all giving me your time. I would be so excited to serve you all on board for another year. Thank you.